board. I am Lynn Bacani. This is Maritime Viewpoints on Marinoworldonline. Joining us is Chief Engineer Ephrem de Cerna, founder and Chief Executive Officer of SEAVERSITY. Good evening,
Thank you
Ephrem,
po.
and welcome to the program.
So good evening, Ma'am Lynn. It's so nice to see you again, even though in the virtual meetings.
Okay, Ephrem, tell us about the SEAVERSITY, your programs.
So University, ma'am, before it was a pre-pandemic system. So currently we're the technology partner of the Philippine Merchant Marines Academy. We're working with augmented reality, virtual reality, at saka e-learning systems. Tapos we're going now into artificial intelligence and machine learning. No, so we're also working with electronic training worker books. Yun po yung ginagamit sa when we presented in London and also in Bangkok. The true direction of the company was to make it as much as possible a cost-effective way for Filipinos. Na if other countries can do things like SCORM compliant systems, then we Filipinos can also do it. So we are currently working with specific objectives on uplifting technology as part of learning talaga, or what we call immersive learning technology. So Civersity now is working also with PILSCA. We are now no longer sa Maritime. We're working with PILSCA, also Philippine School for Aeronautics. We just won a project there. Currently also we're working with the Philippine Coast Guard. No, the Philippine Navy. The Coast Guard is up next. So anything that revolves around maritime that uses virtual reality is where we are going. So definitely we'll be shifting from ships to tanks, airplanes, and everything. So we have a wide margin. So before the pandemic, we grew around 360% based on our KPI. So we found out that there was really a need for immersive technologies rather than the typical way of the classroom methodologies. That's it, ma'am. Yeah.
You know, Ephrem, last year we had our Marino World webinar, The Challenge Ahead, and one of our panelists, Mr. Carl Fanesen, President of the Philippine-Norway Business Council, he has a refreshing outlook, actually. He said the COVID-19 pandemic is not a stumbling block, but an accelerant to things the world should do. Just like in education and training, what can you say about this?
Yeah, definitely. We pre-pandemic, we already prepared things that were 5 years ago when we created this company. Um, we always envisioned that there are ways to create immersive technologies. So probably if it's called we predicted it that something like this will happen. So we don't call it pre-pandemic or post-pandemic. We call it times of uncertainties. No? These times of uncertainties like earthquakes, even EMSA was the one questioning schools regarding what will happen if an earthquake occurs, a storm occurs, will education will continue. So we always believe that e-learning technologies can lead to to things such as to foray the times of uncertainties. This is our earthquakes, storms, pandemics, and all methodologies possible. So as we can we have looked into these uncertainties that these are it's not all about, really, it's not all about pandemics. We never expected it that the turnaround of the company is because of the pandemic, because we see the surge that it is really needed. What we also looked into is another way, is that students now are not fond of only reading. They are really into visual thinking, visual immersive technology, so they can really see an object. So what we have found out also is that even in IMO, what I've heard is the current HTW in IMO, there were presentations for augmented reality, virtual reality, and the training record book, where we're going also with PMMA for electronic training record books. So these current systems is not all about, it's not all about pre-pandemic. It's all about how can Filipino students and trainees can still train even if there are certain times of uncertainty. So we don't call it like a shoot on the stars on pandemic. That's it, ma'am. So
Mhm. So how about in maritime education and training? Are we making headway? Aren't we lagging behind? Are we coping?
are we lagging behind? Definitely we are. Definitely we are. Um, One thing is the acceptance of based on the law, only schools before pandemic, only schools that are level 3 pakokoa accredited can only offer e-learning. So you have to be a level 3 pakokoa to become, this is based on Republic Act 10650, or what they call the e-learning. But because of this pandemic, that's what you told me about the accelerator. It was really an accelerator that we have to cope up, and we have to look into things that we have to change laws, we have to change regulations and rules regarding this e-learning, because if we don't, we will we were the Philippines is always 10 years behind. The US Coast Guard was already using the ARVR. The Navy was already using the ARVR. SEAVERSITY is in partnership with Kongsberg in developing these immersive technologies. Imagine we don't have a regulation on promoting online. We ask Kongsberg already asked Marina and also CHED, if because Kongsberg has already created online simulators to
Mhm.
assist on the delivery of simulators. Also, SEAVERSITY is doing that one also, because if we look into the system, the schools will work through with the lectures, then after that one on the laboratory. But the simulators now are what is inside your school can be now in your laptop. So everything can be mobile. You can train anywhere and anytime. So Kongsberg has always been working with that one, and we have also University is also digitalizing as much as possible any way that you can see those equipment using augmented reality. So virtual reality as of the moment is not not that much, because you have to go to the school, get the equipment. But what we're currently working on is the 360 views.
Mhm.
These are called 360s. So you can move around the ship using only your mobile phone or your laptop. And also with Kongsberg's online simulator, you can operate the simulator the same way that you are currently working those simulators when you are in school. So in terms of lagging behind, we had to change some specific rules so that this can be implemented. So only the prime mover schools that are currently using these technologies, like the Maritime Academy of the Asia and Pacific, MAAP, PMMA. There are some schools also, like the University of Visayas is using the Kongsberg e-learning. Currently, University has 7 schools like USANT, Interglobal, University of Makati also is using this one. So even though it is not yet regulated, these prime mover schools Baliwag Maritime also. Thank you to Captain Pestano for believing on that one. Um, these schools are called prime movers for us because even though it's not yet regulated, they adopted it because they see that there is a need for students to really look at those equipments even though they're at home. So what our current push is 360 augmented reality and online simulators such as Kongsberg Online. Yeah, we have to cope up, ma'am. We have to really cope up because this is a game changer. UNESCO was already predicting this one, 1996, 2010. So that's why University is always pushing that if PMMA now has a full-blown online smart classroom, so they have VR, AR, um, full Moodle system with big data, and currently they are pushing for the command center, the full command center. So with the visionary leadership of Sir Joel Abutal and also with Admiral Santos, they are called the prime movers of the industry, and also with Captain Pestano of Baliwag. They adopted it even though there is no regulation. So I really hope that the Philippines will go for with the new sets of regulations to approve these types of technologies because imagine these are presented in IMO, but we were there, right? We were there when we were talking to I forgot Rahim. Was it
Yeah, yeah.
Rahim? Yeah,
Very funny.
Ibrahim. Yeah, when we were talking to him, they were really happy that we were already doing this in the Philippines. Probably we just need to trust Filipino technology also that we can also do it. And actually we're getting government funding as of the moment, so we're still talking with DBP, also the ADB, Asian Development Bank, for future projects that we can help Filipinos to grow, no? What Civersity really needs to do is envisioning really is how can we create a low cost solution that can reach all Filipino students, because if you look at some of those learning materials, it's so expensive. We are also inviting some of instructors, the top instructors, to join Civersity, um, to share their knowledge. Yeah, but we should look into the Philippines because one of the top programmers in the world, you know, the I love you bug virus, these types of people, ordinary people in the Philippines, are the top programmers, graphics artists. If Ford GT Ford GT was drawn by a Filipino, and now a Filipino company is now working on becoming somebody also to represent the Philippines. So we will be also be talking in the World Ferry. Yeah, World World Ferry. World Ferry. We will be talking with Roberta also in the World Ferry regarding how we did it. And we are proud that Filipinos, Ma'am Mary Ann Pastrana was a prime mover. She was one of the first who adopted that we need this one. We really need this one. So I think, ma'am, we are the Philippines is not lagging in terms of vision. We are never lagging in vision. We were always prime movers. The problem is implementation. We have to look into those implementations and probably trust that Filipinos, and baka pwede naman, and maybe we can remove those crab mentalities and also work together. That's what we are really looking into. We Civersity has always been there to look into helping each Filipino, because that's one of the reasons why I created Civersity. When I was a teacher on a school, on my former school, I have problem interpreting this drawing. So what if they can really see this one? So that's one of the reasons. It's called immersive thinking, critical thinking. Papasok talaga siya. Those are the things that create a driving force for me to really develop those technologies.
So how do these immersive technologies, virtual learning work?
For example, if we have a purifier, we draw those purifier based on the specifications and drawings. Then they can now look it in their tablets, using their tablets, using augmented reality. After augmented reality, they can now overhaul these purifiers or even pumps using virtual reality. Now, what's the key constraint for that? The best. Why is it that it is very good that they use virtual reality and 3D renders, or what do you call 3D renders? The reason is quite simple. Engines are upgrading as fast as technology. If you have a school and you presented a Dela separator, after 5 years or 10 years, once the student graduates, he cannot grasp it already. But with 3D renders, even though there are new equipment and new equipment, you can have that specific equipment on your school, but it's only in the 3D world. For example, if you look at main engines before were MC90s, but still we're using MC90s. Kongsberg presented with ME engines already, electronic engines. So before a student even graduates, he is already outdated because that's how fast engines and regulations in IMO, regulations for MARPOL and IMO are coping up. So imagine if we don't have 3D renders, we get left behind. That's why when we were talking about lagging also, another thing is uh, look at the case where Marina goes for this specific equipment, hard equipment, no? What you call that physical equipment. That's what I was saying is that if some schools will buy this specific equipment, but that equipment will become outdated in a couple of years, no, before a student even graduates. So before nga, when I was my student myself, it's like my teachers were telling me that this is the type of piston and everything, but you can't visualize it. But if you can really see it, you can feel it in the 3D world and the VR world. It's really amazing, ma'am. And we will always remember the hesitation should never come from the teacher. It should never the instructor should never hesitate on the using the 3D on the AR. All we will always remember we are living in a digital world where generation XYZ really accepts these things as a prime commodity of learning. No, so if you look at the new draft for the model course for engine room simulators, the basic construction there, the text is already 3D renders. That's why we always believe PMMA now is currently validating as much as possible all the renders. They wanted to do the whole ship, walkthroughs, breakups. So, yun po, students really have to grasp this technology. You know, or we will always remember it is always the end user. The end user dito po is the students. So sorry to say, the gap between instructors and students is like, instructors will say, kasi na, Prem, we cannot do it, we cannot do this. But if you give it to a child, it will only take 5 seconds or 10 seconds that he can really manipulate the whole thing for digital transcendence. Yun po, ma'am.
So you mean this is really the innovative learning for the next generation of our seafarers?
Yes po, ma'am. Definitely. It should be. This
Mhm.
has always been presented in IMO. There is a draft paper already in IMO doing this one. Korea. Supposedly it was the Philippines when we presented 5 years ago in Midas, if you remember. If you remember in Midas, SEAVERSITY already presented this one that we wanted to for it. That's why I always said, if we just support each other, probably the Philippines, imagine the Philippines is the largest labor market. We have the top SMEs all over the world also. I can vouch for that because we have a very good statistics on that one. It's just that um they it's they were not given chances. They were not given chances to innovate. We were always told that you will become a good seafarer. Probably, why not we change our mentality that one day you will become one of the best maritime professionals. When we're talking about maritime professionals, future superintendents, technology providers, and everything, companies. So what we SeaVersity is really doing is to create a jump start, create those jump starts that uh, technologies has always been part of the maritime industry. We have to grab those specific objectives, create uh, non-subjective, non-subjective courses and everything. So that's why our e-learning is connected to our AR. Ames is also part of us now. LPU. I think Primo ABS has just onboarded 12, and now I'm also a speaker for Moodle Moot International. So how did we transcend using an open source program, create a low cost system? Because actually, ma'am, we are not selling we are not selling LMS. The LMS is, we just provide the content and we provide the hosting. That's our product talaga. We generated the Civersity LMS. The core goal for that one is tracking and monitoring. That's, if you look at EMSA before, it's always like tracking and monitoring. What if auditor looks for, um, do you have a quiz of Juan de la Cruz on this specific week? So what will instructors do? They pull out their file, a very large file, get those test scores. Then the test scores, they will they have to retrieve it. But paano pag nawala? What if they're lost in the process? That's why we created a system for LMS for tracking and monitoring. Every time an auditor comes in, the objective evidence is because it's not all about EMSA also. It's all about the shipping companies. The shipping companies that are getting from schools, do you have objective evidence on this one? So LMS is the learning management system. It manages the whole school. It manages the tracking. It manages the competency required, because there is also what we call competency management system. It it is your lifetime system, supposedly. It should be from first year to fourth year, you become a cadet, ETRB. Then when you go back to school, if the school has a training program, you can always come back. And always remember, ma'am, that it's also an alumni tracer. An alumni tracer is, it should be, because there is a KPI for schools, is if they can track their students, where are they now? What is the success rate of the school? That's the purpose of the learning management system. So if it's all about tracking and monitoring. Tracking and monitoring has always been a problem in schools. So I hope some schools are now looking into blended learning, or not the blended learning itself, but they have to manage their school system. It's called the learning management system. Yun, ma'am. It's a platform that assists school to track and monitor, create competency frameworks, and all. No?
So we have this blended learning, okay, amidst this pandemic. So there's no way to go. We have to digitalize. We have to use this e-learning. What can you say about the support of the government for this?
The support of the government. The government is very supportive, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
If yeah, Senator Gatchalian even pushed for the move to change the specific rules on the e-learning. CHED is also moving for that one. Marina was already ready. 2016. Marina was already ready. 2016. If I remember, I think it's July 17, 2016. Um, the distance learning was already approved, but we there are some schools that there are some training centers did not see it. It's not yet viable. We are not yet ready. But those are called accelerator programs. Imagine, that's what I said. Na we were already by document. We were already there. But when it was implemented, so Marina now is moving through the leadership also of Sir Bob Empedrad. When I heard him when he was telling that no, we should not go back to we should not go back to what we were before. We should always innovate. We should look for ways to implement 2016-12. Because when he saw it, sabi nga niya, oh, meron na pala tayo nito. Why are we not implementing this one? No? So, um, I know that in Marina, they're really pushing to revise as much as possible. The only way to move forward talaga, ma'am, is to create a kickstart, or probably just start something, then slowly, maybe in the process. Kaya Marina has also provisional authorities. CHED is also doing that one through the leadership of Ma'am Cinderella um, Haro, Attorney Haro. So they are now really working to set this up. PMMA is working with Marina, also with Sir Bob, Sir Joel, and Commodore Joel, and Sir Bob and Pedrad are really working into maybe how they can foray the system, and look for better ways. Look for better ways that it can be implemented. Because there were already rules, it was just not implemented. We, in terms, yun po yung lagging kanina. We are lagging in implementation. But in terms of vision and documentation, we already have that one. We have a very good system. It's just that probably some people missed out that there were already documents regarding that one.
But of course, Ephraim, there are challenges like the internet connection. We have this, of course, using these technologies, it entail costs.
Mm, yeah, okay. First, created a survey that 68% of students in the higher education has a phone capable for learning management system. No? Now, next, regarding internet. Accepted. Internet is a very big problem for students. Imagine the statistics, ma'am, from Steam. People who play Dota, mobile legends. Imagine, they're spending 20 pesos a day, but they cannot download the module. Now, what we did with SEAVERSITY is called offline courses. So what we do with the LMS is um, you enroll in the school. Then when you get into the school, you download the mobile app. When you download the mobile app, you get your courses. You download those courses into your mobile app just one time. So I'm telling students also, can you just not spend around 40 pesos on playing Mobile Legends and download those modules? Now, once this modules has already been downloaded into the platform, automatically you can play it already without internet connection. So we just solved that problem. That's a very big pain point. Another, now, when there is time already that you have to submit your examinations and assessment, you just need to load another 20 pesos because I have to submit those examinations. So it's like you download the whole thing. Then when you're ready to report, or your calendar tells you that you have to take these assessments today and you have to submit it today, you just download what, 20 pesos on your mobile phone, then you're up already. So there are specific ways that you can solve this problem. We did this one in FastCat already. We calculated the bandwidth and everything. Students were telling us like, no, we even the officers were telling us, no, we cannot use it. Always remember, this is a learning management system. Some people will tell us, no, sir, we cannot access, we cannot submit scores. When we check those specific persons, oh, remember, Mama, this is a learning management system. This is a specific audit trail. This can see if you have not logged in ever since, or you were already working with your LMS, because this LMS has an audit trail. It trails how many minutes have you used it for one day. So imagine the statistics. So that's even if you're using it offline. Once you go online, all data analytics, all your assessments, all your submissions for competency frameworks will be yours. It will be submitted to the database. It just needs like what, 20 pesos, 20 pesos, just 20 pesos, or just don't play Mobile Legends for a specific 2 hours, and that's it. Yun po, those are the answers for, because our system is called online offline systems. You can be online once you submit and offline once you don't submit.
Can we apply the law of supply and demand here, Ephrem? Like, if there are many already who are using these technologies, then we can lower the cost.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. That's the goal of SEAVERSITY. Currently po, we are one of the lowest, because we don't provide LMS. We provide content. If, for example, our vision really, ma'am, if we can get like around 50 schools to work together, we will always remember that the first word of STCW stands for standard. Standard, standard po. Now, once we your standard, we get the minimum standard. After that specific minimum standard, we go the freedom of education, the Republic Act for CHED. Um, you cannot always add something inside, but the Philippines can always create a standard for that one. That's why PMMA is doing the standardization. Now, even PMMA and together with SEAVERSITY wants schools to become standard also. So if they go with PMMA, the more schools that we have, the lesser the cost. Currently, we are in survivability mode, or what you call the sustainability mode. As much as possible, we wanted all students to have full access on this one that PMMA and SEAVERSITY also is doing. So if there are currently we have 12 schools. Now, for example, if we were looking now into PAMI, no? If PAMI can give us a shot of all Filipino corporation to assist them on creating standard contents validated by all schools, it will lower the cost, ma'am. Probably nga po, we're looking into what? One semester, 700 pesos. Lahat ng content available na. But we just need more schools to do it. Kasi meron po kasi mga binabayaran to, ma'am, developers. We are paying for developers, content validators. We have to pay for SMEs. And the biggest one is cloud, or what you call the servers, no? Servers. So what if there were many subscribers for this one, as a it helps us grow, no? The core goal of SEAVERSITY talaga is, and to the knowledge of everybody po, SEAVERSITY has always been looking for professionals na hindi na po pwedeng sumakay ng barko, no? We have people na slip disc. Tatlo sa SMEs namin slip disc. So sabi ko, pre, hindi ka na makasakay ng barko. Maybe you wanted sakay naman ng barko pero online lang tayo. So mayroon po kaming slip disc. Ako, I have a broken feet, broken tibia and fibula. Yung iba sa amin, I cannot divulge lang, but yun yung core goal po. If there are seafarers also na willing sumama sa ganito, maybe we can assist them also. Kasi, syempre, down na yung hope eh. Hindi na makasakay, hindi na so maybe, kung we have trained people, ma'am, you won't believe, no? You won't believe like a 24-year-old hindi na makasakay din. We train them in Kongsberg simulators. Pag pinaharap mo sa instructor, wow, ang galing pala nito. Sasabihin pa sa akin ng school, Prem, pwede ba namin kunin yan? Sabi ko sa alaga po namin yan. So, yun po ma'am. Yun po yung core goal namin.
Ephrem, I know you are a graduate of the University of Cebu, right? you're a chief engineer, and then here you are in this field.
Very good question. Yeah, I was a graduate of class 2004, Project Alpha class 2004, under Sir Ricky Victoria, Captain Tino, Ma'am Josie Rivera. With university, I was teaching in University of Cebu for almost 2 years before I started SEAVERSITY. I was former with Integrated Maritime, one of the biggest assessment centers in Cebu. Also, you were there also when I was the CEO. Definitely, if I comment with University of Cebu, currently I'm the technology partner of PMMA, and SUP has already, Commodore Abutal has already vouched that we will be working hand in hand to test this proper. I can't express myself with University of Cebu. I was knocking doors already with University of Cebu, but I still love my school. I'm alumni of that school. I'm an alumni of that school, and still, if they're really open for their graduate to become part of their school, I've knocked around 6 times already, and maybe through you, they hear this, that nakakalungkot, di ba? It breaks my heart na you came from a school that you wish that they support. Sabi nga lang, ma'am, you can never be a king in your own turf, di ba? Pero I wanted to go back and help my co-NSA din. Tama ba? Maiiyak ako, ma'am, kasi sobra kong mahal.
Ephrem, how about this electronic training record book? Your first project with FastCAD, the ETRB, or electronic training record book.
When Ma'am Mary Ann Pastrana came to me, said, Ephrem, I wanted cadets that are really good on board and everything. So when we saw the training record books, when I created a survey with the domestic fleet, people were only signing this one. That's why I heard also na binabayaran nga yung pirma. So I was really not happy. Then there is no objective evidence. They have already overhauled this piston. They have already created. If there is no ECDIS for the vessel, bakit napirmahan yung ECDIS? So, Ma'am Pastrana was really concerned. Sabi ko, Ma'am, why is it that this equipment has been signed and you don't have this equipment? Like, for example, they have a separator, but it was signed. So Ma'am Pastrana called all her staff and said, "Why? What's Ephrem saying? That the ECDIS was signed when we don't have ECDIS." Imagine that, ma'am. Imagine that one. So those are so what we did with FastCat really is to track those comments and create assessments inside. Kasi if you have like 100 or 200 people that you check, you can check it in all at once unless you automate it. So we created an automated assessment to check. Now, pag bumagsak siya or he fails that specific score, it automatically looks into it pings the STO that this student is not working for almost 2 days already. Their dues are almost their dues are currently too high. So those are the domestic. Now we are currently creating another form for PMMA based on the specifications on PASCAT also wanted to adopt this ETRB. No, um, the problem is the system should come from school LMS directly to ETRB.
An interesting discussion, but we've
Mm.
even extended to our time. So, your final thoughts on the new norm in education and training in maritime?
Yeah, in terms of the new norm is not all about pandemics. Sabi mo, when you told us kanina nga, it's an accelerator. Actually, it was an accelerator. Um, we will always remember, before pandemic, schools were already inspected by EMSA. What happens to your school if there is an earthquake? What happens to school if there is a fire? How will you foray education to continue? Because of this pandemic, it released or created an accelerator. But we in SEAVERSITY and also with Kongsberg, we don't call this as COVID. We call this times of uncertainties. We have to prepare that education will continue no matter what of any form of uncertainty. COVID was only there for an accelerator, but because of this, we have transformed. No? We have transformed. We have changed laws. Marina is going there. Ched is going there through leaderships of Sir Bob and Attorney Haro and Sir Popoy. What I can really say is trust Filipinos also. Trust there is a system that Filipinos can do it. Filipinos are visionaries as well. We have to look into to our systems that if we can work together, um, yung inspiration ko po kasi Kongsberg is a state-owned company in Norway. One day, I'm always dreaming that SEAVERSITY will become a state-owned company to help the Philippines as well. Na to create low-cost solutions for his fellow Filipino. It's not all about business, ma'am. It's never all about business if you see my passion. It's to create something that is extraordinary na gawang Pinoy. Kasi si Bongo is doing Balik Probinsya program. And I forgot the support local program ng Senate. So what we wanted to say before we go is, before we move on, please support the system also. If we can help together, we are always open to that one. Remove crab mentality, feuds, problem. I had a lot of those, no? Frustrations and everything. Ngayon ko lang talaga, this is the first time that I've seen that the success really has lots of failures also. You have to look into your past. You have to survive para lang talaga umabot sa ganun. We are not yet successful, ma'am. Currently, SEAVERSITY has around 46 people already. We started with only 5 na naging 2 na lang kami. And now, after 3 years of this pandemic, abot na siya ng 46. So, probably we wanted to grow more. If we're looking for more seafarers na, sir, hindi na ako makasakay, may sakit ako, babae ako, I wanted to become a plain housewife. So we're still looking for that one po. Definitely po, that's where SEAVERSITY. And we would like to thank you, Ma'am Lynn, for always supporting from Bangkok to London. Supposedly, we should be in New York, right? Di ba? Last year. Kaya lang, buti hindi tayo natuloy. So thank you very much, Ma'am Lynn, for everything, for supporting SEAVERSITY as well.
Good luck and God bless your endeavors, Ephrem. Thank you for
Yes
joining
po,
us
ma'am.
on the program.
Okay po, ma'am. Thank you po. Maraming
That's
salamat
Chief
po.
Engineer Ephrem Dela, founder and CEO of SEAVERSITY. Next on Maritime Viewpoints, we will be joined by Mr. Francesco Gargiulo, Chief Executive Officer of the International Maritime Employers Council, or IMEC. I am Lynn Bacani. You're watching Marino World Online.